Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at the Westminster Reference Bible from Trinitarian Bible Society. And this is the current model. Many years ago I reviewed the original model from that was printed in the Netherlands by Royal Jongbloed. This one is printed by PrintCorp in Belarus. And that is the current model. They're not sure how long it's going to be printed by PrintCorp in Belarus. That is evaluated every time they do a new print run. But currently it is in Belarus. So I wanted to take a look at it. And just quick basics, it has 200,000 cross-references, concordance, maps, and several helps. And then we're going to take a look and see what those helps are. 9.6 font, King James Version. And this is the Blaney, the Oxford version, which is the standard, the 1769, the one that most people do use. Does include the translators to the reader. So let's take a look. So we have Mariva calfskin. It is soft to the touch. It is smooth. Does have a little bit of visual grain, but it is a smooth leather. And then nothing printed on the front. It does not include perimeter stitching. The cover is folded over and then glued. It is paste down liner. I'm not sure if it's reinforced. I can't tell. It doesn't look like it is. But on the spine we have 5 spine hub indications, but they're not raised. And then the printing in gold. 4 ribbons. 2 black for the Old Testament, 2 red for the New Testament. Sewn binding, of course. Trinitarian Bible Society doesn't do anything besides sewn binding. So we have 32 GSM paper. In the front, it has several thick end sheets. This gives it structure, and I like it when they do this. They've decided to use them for scriptures. So they've printed several important scriptures in the front. That looks nice. I like that. Then a presentation page. 32 GSM paper, slightly off-white. We'll compare it to the original here in just a little bit. There's the printing, printed and bound in Belarus by Worldwide PrintCorp, or PrintCorp Worldwide Printing. The epistle dedicatory, translators to the reader, the entire document. I like when they do include that. I do see that as an important document. And then we have several helps, how to use this Bible and what the things mean. And I like that they include this because not everyone understands the difference in Lord with capital L and then small letters, and then Lord with all caps, and then same with God, and then use of capitalizations, the thou and the ye, Old Testament names used in the New Testament, pilcrows. I like that. That's very good information. Then it talks about the book titles, the chapter summaries, psalm headings. They do see that as part of the text, so they don't make them smaller. They make them the same size as the text. Subscriptions to epistles, references in the margins, and more content in the margins. We'll see some of that as we go. And here is a quick guide on how to use it. Very important information, very good information. I like when they include that kind of information. An index. Often forget that these exist. People can't find books, and all they got to do is turn to the front to the index, and it tells you the page number. Very helpful. And then here is our layout. Double column, verse by verse. 9.6 font. Is a little bit of a thin font, so it's not very dark, but it is dark enough if you have good enough lighting. It does seem to be printed with line matching. The paper is opaque, but not quite as opaque as the original. Chapter summaries span the column of text and the column of references, which I like the way they do that. That looks good. And they tell where these come from. And then also the 200,000 cross-references in the margins next to the verses they go to. Then it also includes the translator footnotes and then updated words in the margins. And you'll see a little asterisk and then the updated word as close as possible. I like that. I like that everything is next to where they go. All you have to do is just look over and there it is. around 6 words per line, which is about as good as you're going to get in a 4-column layout. Across the top, we have the book name and the chapters that appear on that page. Then in the inner margin, we have the page summary. And then I'll show you the Psalms. I like how this stays open easily. It's easy to hold in one hand, no trouble at all. That's my preferred way to hold a Bible. Open it in one hand. It stays flat, no issues at all. So here is the Psalms with their titles. I find the paper easy enough to turn, easy enough to grab and turn, no trouble at all. Separates in the hand nicely. And then there's Psalm 119. This one does not include the Hebrew alphabet, but it does give you the names of the Hebrew letters. This is a good size for holding and carry and reading. It's good for preaching if you don't need a large print for preaching. I wouldn't mind if it was slightly bolder. The 200,000 cross references are contextual, so you won't necessarily find the reference next to what you're looking for. You have to go back to the beginning of the context, and then they connect the context themselves. And they are from John Brown's study Bible 100 plus years ago, and then the rest are from the Cambridge Concord. Lots of them. So there's the New Testament. It does not include self-pronouncing marks in the text. We'll find that information in the back. It does have italics for supplied words. For the updated words in the margin, it does not have as many as Thomas Nelson does, but it does have a lot. Probably the next most that I have personally seen. I've not seen them all, but and then as you can see here, books start on the page where the previous book ends. This is a British design, very much a British standard. American design would have it on the next page in general. Then several appendixes in the back, tables of weights and measures, and it is several tables, so quite a few. Then the list of words and proper names, and it gives you the name and then a pronunciation guide and then self-pronouncing marks. So now you can tell how to pronounce the names. And I would prefer to have that back here rather than in the text. That keeps the text clean, but at the same time you have access to that information if you want it. Daily reading plan, and this is the Machine plan, which gives you a 2-year plan. Every day has a reading from the Old Testament and a reading from the New Testament. It takes you through the New Testament and Psalms twice. I have personally used this plan. 1 or 2 little awkward things in it, but other than that, it is a really good plan. I do like it. We used it in nightly reading where we have 4 people, and each one takes one of the readings and read out loud while the others follow. And we used it as a 1-year plan. They gave us 4 locations from Scripture, and it's a little bit hard to follow when you have that many. So it might actually work better as a 2-year plan. I do plan to use this as a 2-year plan coming up. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. I'm not sure which, but I do like the Machine plan. Concordance. This is the concordance from the Cambridge Concord. Has a lot of entries. It is presented in paragraph. To me, this is a little difficult to follow, but I'm okay with that because I don't use the concordance that much, and I would prefer to have more entries and they'd be a little difficult to find than to have fewer entries and them be easy to use. Now, if it was a tool I used all the time, that would be different. So lots of pages in the back for notes. This is on the standard Bible paper. So quite a few pages back there. Over 20. Then maps. These are updated maps from the original. The colors are bolder and the names are designed slightly different. A little bolder, a little bit different font. And they are printed on thick, non-glossy paper with a matte finish. They're bright and bold, easy to read, easy to follow. They're annotated. It does not include an index, but they are annotated well, so it is easy to use. Lots of information on there. And that is that. So let's take a look at our size and weight. We have about a 6 1/4 by 8 3/4 by 1 3/8. 2 pounds, 4.2 ounces. So that's a good size for carrying and reading. I like that. So let's compare it to the original. This is Lucinda's, and she's used it since 2013, if I remember correctly. And it has the same cover, same material, looks and feels exactly the same. Both paste down. So they look and feel the same, except for the only difference is the paper color. The paper in the original had a slight cream tint, which I actually prefer the original paper. And it's a little bit more opaque, but that could be because of the color. So here's how they compare. And then another difference is the maps. So the maps in the new one, a little bit bolder, a little bit more definition in there, and then different font for the locations. Next is the compact, and I bought this one used for $6. So here is the compact edition, also made in Belarus. There's the difference in size. Everything about it is the same maps, same paper. And then here is the size of course being the difference. And then also the small one does not include the concordance. It has all the other material, but not the concordance. So that makes me think that the paper in the compact might be slightly thicker than in the regular edition, because they have the same thickness, but no concordance in the small one. So next is the large print, which is also made in Belarus. Same materials. This one also does not include a concordance and has the same maps and the same paper. Everything else about it seems to be the same. And of course the difference is going to be the size. I'll show you the size in just a second. Here is the text difference. So major difference in the text, but also major difference in the size. Larger footprint. The thickness is the same, but that footprint difference is huge. I have a crinkle page now. But yeah, big difference in the size. So that is my quick look at the Westminster Reference Bible. Now, a lot of people have asked if it has the Westminster Confessions in it. No, it's not. That's not what Westminster is referring to here. It's referring to the other university that helped develop the King James. That was Cambridge, Oxford, Westminster. And so Westminster was the other, so they've named it after Westminster. And that's really all it refers to. The helps that are in it are not meant to add anything to Scripture. They're not meant to provide interpretation, although there will be some interpretation in some of the headings and in some of the page summaries and things along that line. And of course there's always going to be some interpretation on references. However, this does have 200,000 references, and that's a lot of information to help study. I do recommend this reference Bible a lot. It's in my opinion one of the absolute best Bibles available. So that's a quick look at the Belarus version of the Westminster Reference Bible from Trinitarian Bible Society. They did provide this in exchange for an honest review. My honest review is I highly recommend it. It's a very good Bible. Black letter. I wouldn't mind if the font was a little darker. The paper is not as opaque as the original, but it's still opaque enough. and they don't make a lot of money on these things, so they're not trying to go extravagant. They're not trying to go expensive. So it's made well. I like them a lot. So I'll place some links in the notes so that you can make a purchase if you're interested. Also, a link to the written review at BibleBuyingGuide.com, where I always go into more detail. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.